Topic number 4 is success through failure. Disraeli said, "All my successes have been built on my failures." The desire to progress in one way or another is embedded to a lesser or greater extent in human nature. It is a distinctive characteristic in man which differentiates him from all lower forms of creation. Today, it may be true to say that the acquisition of wealth is the main avenue of progress along which man seeks to advance. The urge to progress is a healthy one, providing it does not clash with the teachings of Islam. The Muslim who devotes his whole attention to increasing his wealth and neglects his Islamic duties is progressing in the wrong direction. The primary concern of a Muslim should be his spiritual progress. While advancement in worldly affairs is encouraged and commended by Islam, nevertheless, greater stress is laid on the development of the soul and progress along the path of righteousness. For God says in the Holy Quran that the most honored in his sight are those who are most righteous. It is unfortunate that most men do not look beyond the grave. They give attention only to their material progress, while the man of God does not neglect his spiritual progress. He knows that his love for God should excel his love for the things of this world. He yearns to develop within himself the attributes of God. And while he does not ignore the responsibilities of life, he is ever watchful in avoiding all temptations liable to hinder his spiritual advancement. He constantly seeks the grace and protection of God and fully realizes that his real self is not his physical body, but rather his spiritual body, which knows no death. God says in the Holy Quran, "And the life of this world is only a play and a sport. But surely the abode of the hereafter is better for those who are pious. Will you not then have some sense? And, O my people, this life of the world is but a temporary provision, and the hereafter is certainly the home for permanent stay." The desire to make constant spiritual progress should surge like a restless ocean in the heart of every Muslim. He should not rest content in living a mediocre life with the thought that higher advancement is reserved only for the chosen few. He should endeavor to excel others and strive to pass even those who seem to be far ahead of him. His daily prayer and aspiration should be that each day should bear witness to an improvement in his spiritual development. Spiritual competition is a healthy exercise endorsed by the Holy Quran, which says, "Vie then with one another in good works." In the field of commerce, the spiritual competition is ever active, and those who outstrip their competitors become the leaders of men in business and industry. Similarly, in the field of religion, the desire to be among the most favored in the sight of God is a wholesome and rewarding endeavor. And the lead cannot be taken unless others are overtaken. But the race must be run in a spirit of humility, wherein the motive is only to win the pleasure of God and reflect his attributes for the glory of Islam. The Muslim who has little or no concern about his spiritual development and progress has not yet understood the essence of Islam and the purpose of existence. When the body ceases to inhale the breath of life, his earthly treasures will no longer be a source of comfort to him, and only his dark and empty soul will cross the border into the realm of eternity. But the translucent soul of the blessed servant of God will shine like a radiant star in the firmament of the hereafter. Health, wealth, and knowledge are gifts of God which should all be used for his glory. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah and holy founder of the Ahmadiyya movement, has written, "All our powers and organs and whatever belongs to us should be surrendered to God and devoted to his service." An earnest Muslim is always attentive to his self-improvement, and in order to progress far, he must be prepared to render and submit all his faculties and possessions in the way of God. That is to say, his love for God should reign supreme over all other kinds of attachments. Submission to God is the meaning and essence of the spirit of Islam. The Queen of Scots was executed in the year 1587 on the orders of Queen Elizabeth. Due to her close attachment with France, it is said that the Scottish Queen died with the name of Calais engraved upon her heart. Likewise, the word submission should be engraved upon the hearts of all Muslims. God says in the Holy Quran, "Say, my prayer and my sacrifice and my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds." The meaning of failure and defeat are not synonymous. Whereas defeat suggests conquest, failure need be no more than a temporary setback. This is certainly the meaning given to failure by the go-ahead and successful-minded individual who is resolute and who has firmly implanted in his mind the achievement of a definite goal in life. He constantly visualizes its ultimate fulfillment and has no doubt that it will sooner or later materialize. He knows that positive thinking is the road to success, and he regards no obstacle in his path to be a permanent barrier. As soon as one arises, he proceeds to smash it down, and then he climbs over its battered remnants and proceeds onwards towards his goal. The spineless individual throws up his hands in despair before the first hurdle. He moans that circumstances are against him, whereas he has no one to blame but himself for his stagnant condition throughout life. The progressive individual looks upon every problem, obstacle, and adversity as a test of strength and character. He is determined to turn every difficulty to good account and prove them to be blessings in disguise. A great American once wrote, "I am thankful for the adversities which have crossed my pathway, for they have taught me tolerance, sympathy, self-control, perseverance, and some other virtues I might never have known." Progressive and successful living depends on positive thinking and the refusal to regard failure as defeat. Success depends upon successful thinking. Dominant thoughts of the mind reproduce themselves into reality. One should therefore close the door of the mind upon all negative thoughts and feed it only with positive thoughts. It has truly been said that thoughts are things. Were it not for the creative power of thought in man, the condition of the human race and the world in general would be exactly the same as it was in the beginning, except for those changes brought about by the laws of nature. The progress of man, inventions of the world, cultivation of crops, advancement in medicine, all germinated from the seed of thought, which the creative power of the mind translated into material existence and reality. Thought is the basis of achievement. It possesses the God-given power of creative energy, which man may tap and use to his advantage and progress in the spiritual field as much as in any other field of life. Man creates, unfolds, and develops that in which he lives mentally, and what he can accomplish in practical life through the proper use of the creative power of the mind is extraordinary and almost unbelievable. Man is as he thinks. He is the architect of his own character and the captain of his own soul. He possesses the God-given capacity of making his daydreams come true once he understands the chemistry of the mind. The life of Marshal MacMahon of France is one of many which illustrates the truth of the equation: desire plus continued thoughts on the thing desired equals the result desired. When a boy, he cherished the dream and ambition to become Marshal of France. He resolved to climb to that position, and he fixed it as the goal of his life. The desire within was intense, and the mental visualization of himself arrayed in the majestic uniform of a marshal was always vivid in his mind. It is not a matter of wonder, therefore, that he did eventually attain the rank of marshal, and that he went further and even became the President of France. A man of his mental caliber is an inspiration for all who want to progress in life, and there are few better ways of filling the odd moments of the day than by reading the biographies of great men who have raised themselves from failure to success. It may be well understood how the power of this philosophy can elevate and speed a man towards his spiritual goal once he is aware of its inner presence and chooses to galvanize it into action. The creative energy of the mind needs only to be properly instructed, and it will respond like an obedient servant. It will work for and produce that which it is commanded to do, provided it does not run counter to the will of God. And it is always the way of God to guide those who seek him and help those who strive in his path towards the purification of the soul. This should be the most sought-after goal in life, and most certainly the science of correct thinking is a necessary requisite for its attainment. Life is a battleground from which every successful man and woman has emerged victorious. They never despaired of victory, but fought until they claimed their prize. Then the inner experience of a new sensation charged every fibre of their body, and it is particularly delightful when the prize is a heavenly one gained after a long spiritual struggle. The spiritual wayfarer enters new realms of paradise on earth as he continues to overcome hurdle after hurdle. Living becomes a joy and an enchantment, and the storms of worldly distractions no longer blow him from pillar to post. He enjoys the gentle breeze of heaven, which refreshes and purifies the inner recesses of his heart. He has studied at the University of Hard Knocks and is now reaping the reward of his patience and perseverance, remembering God's promise that ease follows hardship. God says in the Holy Quran, "Surely there is ease after hardship." And again, Allah will soon bring about ease after hardship. Hardships are inevitable. The Holy Quran says, "We have created men to face hardships." The devotee of God regards hardships as blessings because he knows that by accepting them patiently and courageously, he will not only win the approbation of God, but also grow in spiritual stature. And this is the nourishment he is seeking more than anything else. Mount Everest is the highest mountain in the world, and for many years climbers attempted to conquer its summit. Time after time they failed, and the perilous venture cost many a man his life. But dogged persistence won in the end, and the mountain was mastered by a team of climbers in 1953. The lowest slopes of ascent are easy going for the mountaineer, but as the gradient begins to rise, progress becomes slower. As he climbs yet higher, he is harassed by bitter cold and howling winds. Then, as the summit draws nearer, the thin air causes breathing difficulties, and he has to apply his oxygen mask. Every step of the last stage of the ascent has to be hacked out of solid ice, and finally he has to muster his last ounce of strength to haul himself to the top. The mountaineer exhibits great powers of endurance, and such exemplary endurance should mark the efforts of every sincere Muslim in his struggle to attain his spiritual goal.